Chosen one, this message arrives not by coincidence, but through a moment of alignment. The journey that brought you here is marked by spiritual significance, not mere happenstance. The concept of being chosen is often misunderstood, romanticized, or dismissed altogether. However, in the context of spiritual awakening and divine alignment, it holds specific implications for identity, struggle, and purpose. From the outset, individuals marked by divine purpose, those referred to as chosen ones, frequently experience profound internal and external resistance. This resistance often manifests before full awareness of their identity is established. The early stages of life for many chosen ones are marked by unusual levels of hardship, misunderstanding, and emotional disconnection. These are not random occurrences. They are often the first indicators of a greater spiritual reality unfolding beneath the surface. Before a chosen one recognizes their own nature, the spiritual realm already has. According to many spiritual teachings and experiences, unseen forces recognize spiritual potential and purpose far earlier than the individual does. This awareness in the unseen realm creates a dynamic of opposition. Darkness responds to light, not when it is fully visible, but when it begins to emerge. And often, this resistance takes form in the material world, through people, circumstances, and internal conflict. For those who identify as chosen, childhood or early life is rarely simple. Emotional isolation, betrayal, neglect, or even trauma may be recurring themes. These are not necessarily punishments, but rather conditions of preparation. Chosen individuals are placed in environments that challenge them, environments that teach resilience, sharpen intuition, and encourage a level of self-awareness that few others are required to develop. It is critical to note that the adversity faced is often mistaken for failure or evidence of a flawed path. In truth, it serves a refining purpose. The early battles of a chosen one are not accidents. They are structured for transformation. And while it may appear that these experiences are meant to diminish, in reality, they are meant to build. The world may interpret such suffering as a curse, but within a spiritual framework, it is more accurately described as preparation. Pain becomes a teacher. Silence becomes a sanctuary. And every detour becomes a redirection toward purpose. For the chosen one, life is less about conformity and more about alignment. As chosen individuals grow into spiritual awareness, a new type of conflict often arises. This is not always external or visible. It may appear in the form of internal questioning, fatigue, sudden losses, or subtle yet persistent resistance in everyday life. These are often spiritual symptoms rather than psychological ones. Such resistance may come from people who initially seem helpful or benign. Over time, their presence begins to drain energy, foster confusion, or derail purpose. In many cases, these individuals are unaware of the role they play in spiritual dynamics. However, their impact is significant. For chosen ones, not every challenge is personal. Many are energetic. And when your energy shifts, when your spiritual frequency rises, it often exposes what is misaligned. This is not a metaphorical idea. In spiritual disciplines around the world, frequency is not just symbolic, it is foundational. Energy, in this context, refers to the measurable and felt vibration that individuals carry. When aligned with purpose, this vibration becomes both a signal and a defense mechanism. It begins to repel that which is incompatible and attract what is divinely aligned. One of the clearest signs of spiritual elevation is a sharpened sense of discernment. The chosen individual begins to see with more than their eyes. Emotional clarity sharpens. Inner knowing strengthens. Relationships that once seemed fulfilling may now feel draining. Places once familiar may become energetically heavy. These shifts are not signs of regression, but of transformation. As spiritual awareness increases, so does the need for boundary setting. This includes emotional, mental, and spiritual boundaries. Not every person is meant to walk alongside the chosen one, and not every opportunity, even if it appears favorable, is aligned with purpose. It becomes essential to distinguish between distractions and divine assignments. Energy discernment is not about judgment, it is about clarity. The chosen individual is called to navigate with wisdom, not fear. While some people may unintentionally carry spiritual interference, others are direct assignments of misalignment. The ability to identify the difference often marks the turning point in the chosen one's development. As the chosen one continues to evolve, energy begins to operate both as a defense and a force of disruption. Environments once comfortable may now react strongly to their presence. This is not due to any verbal confrontation or change in behavior, but a shift in frequency. Light disturbs darkness. Truth disrupts illusion. The response may be passive, avoidance, withdrawal, or silent resistance. Or it may be active, conflict, tension, or verbal attack. It's important to recognize that these reactions are not always logical. They are spiritual. And they often signal that the chosen one is walking in elevated authority. This is not about superiority. It is about purpose. When the chosen one steps into alignment, their energy begins to function as a spiritual instrument. It clears spaces, reveals intentions, and elevates atmospheres. And while this can be isolating, it is also liberating. The result is twofold. Environments become more honest, and relationships become more selective. The chosen one begins to attract individuals who are spiritually aligned, emotionally mature, and energetically balanced. Simultaneously, those who once held influence may fall away. These shifts are not disruptions, they are recalibrations. Perhaps one of the most significant internal battles faced by chosen individuals is the belief that they are cursed. This belief often emerges during extended seasons of hardship, loneliness, or confusion. When progress is slow and understanding is limited, the human mind searches for explanations, and often it lands on self-blame. But in the context of spiritual awakening, this perception is misplaced. What appears as a curse is often the evidence of a calling. The difference lies in perspective. Curses diminish, callings refine. One is meant to oppress, the other is meant to prepare. Chosen ones are not exempt from struggle. In fact, they often experience more than most, but they are also equipped to overcome. Their sensitivity is not weakness, it is awareness. Their isolation is not abandonment, it is training. And their setbacks are not failures, they are recalibrations. Chosen one, as you reflect on your journey thus far, it is important to recognize the patterns. The early opposition, the internal pressure, the spiritual isolation, all point to a life that is not random, but designed. A life marked by assignment, not misfortune. In this first part of the message, we have examined the early indicators of a chosen path. The presence of adversity, the rise of spiritual discernment, and the increasing role of vibration in daily experience. These are not simply coincidences. They are confirmations. As you begin to understand the role of spiritual warfare, vibrational protection, and divine alignment, the path forward becomes clearer. You are not simply surviving a spiritual battle. You are becoming equipped to navigate it with wisdom and authority. In Part 2, we will explore how spiritual discipline, vibrational maintenance, and divine timing shape the chosen one's ongoing journey, and how this transition leads not only to personal clarity, but to influence leadership and spiritual legacy. Stay with me. The second half will illuminate how your energy, when properly cultivated, becomes a tool of divine elevation. Chosen One, as we continue this exploration of your spiritual journey, we move from understanding the nature of the attacks you've experienced to recognizing the responsibility and power that comes with spiritual elevation. The first half of your path was marked by internal transformation and external resistance. The next stage centers around alignment, maintenance, and purposeful living. Spiritual elevation is not a momentary event. It is a process of consistent refinement and conscious decision-making. It requires awareness of your energy, responsibility for your influence, and commitment to maintaining the vibration you've cultivated. Elevation is not just about overcoming struggle. It is about building a foundation that sustains clarity, peace, and divine power over time. Once you've raised your vibration, your environment begins to reflect the shifts within you. However, elevation must be maintained. It is not self-sustaining by default. The Chosen One must take deliberate action to protect what has been gained. Spiritual maintenance begins with discipline. Daily spiritual practices such as prayer, meditation, and reflection become vital, not as rituals, but as grounding tools. These practices anchor you. They clear the energetic clutter accumulated through daily interactions and allow your spirit to remain aligned with divine purpose. Without these practices, energy stagnates. External influences gain access. The clarity once cultivated begins to cloud. Just as a physical body requires nourishment and rest, your spiritual state requires intentional care. Fasting, whether from food, social media, or toxic relationships, is another form of alignment. It reduces distractions and allows the inner self to rise. As a chosen one, your relationships must be evaluated through a spiritual lens. Emotional connections that once felt necessary may now feel heavy. This is not a failure in loyalty. It is a reflection of evolving energy. Not every person who entered your life is meant to stay. Some were assignments for growth, and others were mirrors of past wounds. As your frequency rises, those connections naturally shift. The Chosen One must learn to discern between divine alignment and energetic attachment. Maintaining spiritual elevation means protecting your space. Boundaries are not rejections. They are declarations of value. It is not unkind to create distance. It is wise. Those who drain your energy, resist your growth, or consistently challenge your peace are not meant to remain in close proximity. Your spiritual health depends on your ability to make these distinctions. Beyond people, there is another layer of spiritual maintenance: content consumption. The music, movies, conversations, and even social media you engage with all carry energetic weight. What you consume influences your internal atmosphere. Low vibrational content, marked by fear, division, or distraction, can dull spiritual awareness. On the other hand, content aligned with truth, peace, and growth reinforces your elevation. The Chosen One must choose input with discernment. Every sound, image, and word affects your energy. Spoken words, too, hold power. Speech shapes reality. Complaints, gossip, or self-deprecation lower vibration, while affirmations, gratitude, and truth-telling elevate it. The more intentional your words, the more aligned your life becomes. Solitude becomes essential. This is not isolation rooted in fear or rejection. It is sacred space, created for spiritual restoration. In solitude, the Chosen One reconnects to the divine without interference. It is a time to listen, reflect, and recalibrate. Many spiritual traditions recognize solitude as a necessary precursor to divine revelation. It is in the quiet that direction is revealed. Answers emerge. Vision becomes clear. For chosen ones, solitude is not a luxury. It is a requirement. A dedicated space, no matter how simple, can serve as a spiritual sanctuary. This is where you recharge, realign, and receive. When consistently honored, solitude enhances discernment, strengthens intuition, and restores balance. As you rise, the past may attempt to re-enter. Old relationships, habits, or thought patterns may surface. This is not unusual. It is a form of energetic testing. The pull to return to comfort is strong, but chosen ones are not called to comfort. They are called to alignment. Choosing what is easy over what is right can disrupt vibration. That is why vigilance is essential. Spiritual elevation is not linear. There will be days of strength and days of struggle. What matters is not perfection, but consistency. Recognizing the signs of regression early allows the chosen one to correct course before significant loss occurs. Emotional fatigue, unclear thoughts, or a sense of heaviness may all signal the need for recalibration. When these arise, it's not a sign of failure, it's a call for maintenance. Spiritual elevation must become a lifestyle. It cannot be sustained on peak experiences alone. It must be built into the fabric of your choices, your schedule, and your relationships. The consistency of your energy over time determines the effectiveness of your influence. And here is an essential truth. Elevation is not just personal, it is collective. The chosen one carries responsibility not only for their own journey, but for those they are meant to guide. This does not mean carrying others' burdens. It means living in such alignment that others are drawn to clarity by your presence. Elevation also brings visibility. You may be seen more. Your words may carry more influence. Your actions may be watched more closely. This is not a burden. It is a sign of impact. But it must be met with humility. With elevation comes a noticeable shift. The battles that once consumed your energy begin to lose power. Situations that once triggered you now fall flat. People who once manipulated your emotions lose access. This is spiritual authority in practice. The shift from spiritual survival to spiritual influence is one of the clearest markers of elevation. You are no longer simply defending your energy. You are transforming environments with it. Your presence brings clarity. Your silence brings peace. Your alignment creates a ripple effect. Chosen one, this is the outcome of sustained elevation. You begin to live from a place of overflow. You are no longer drained by every interaction. Instead, you are equipped to pour into others, selectively, wisely, and with purpose. The final movement in this stage is purpose. With clarity, maintenance, and protection established, the chosen one is ready to step fully into assignment. This is not about a job or a title, it is about impact. You begin to walk in spaces designed for your energy. Opportunities open, relationships align, resources appear. This does not mean life becomes effortless, but it does mean that the chaos begins to serve you. Delays are revealed as preparation. Setbacks become instruction. And every closed door leads to a more fitting one. Purpose unfolds when readiness meets alignment. The chosen one, now aware, anchored, and spiritually elevated, begins to fulfill their role not through effort, but through presence. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer force, you allow. You no longer hide, you embody. Chosen one, spiritual elevation is not a destination. It is a beginning. A new way of living, thinking, moving, and impacting. You have survived the war. You have refined your energy. You have cultivated spiritual clarity. Now, you carry the responsibility and the privilege of living from that elevated state. Let it not be wasted. The alignment you maintain today becomes the legacy you leave tomorrow. Protect your peace. Honor your energy. Move with wisdom. And above all, walk with the awareness that your life, your very vibration, is a tool of divine influence. You are no longer the seeker. You are the source. And your elevation is proof of what alignment, discipline, and divine purpose can create. Chosen one. As this journey of spiritual awakening, protection, and elevation draws to a close, you stand at the threshold of a new existence. One shaped not by fear, confusion, or doubt, but by clarity, alignment, and divine certainty. Everything you have encountered, from the silent battles to the visible losses, was part of a larger orchestration. You were never being punished. You were being prepared. The pain refined your discernment. The isolation deepened your intuition. The repeated betrayals, the dark nights of the soul, and the inexplicable heaviness were not signs of failure. They were spiritual indicators that a chosen one was being forged through fire. And now, that fire has done its work. You are not who you used to be. Your energy no longer resonates with what once drained you. Your silence now speaks louder than your words, and your vibration has become a shield, a compass, and a declaration all at once. This isn't simply about rising. It's about staying risen. It's about living in the authority you've earned, not with pride, but with unwavering purpose. But let us be clear, the journey ahead is not without its demands. Now that you've tasted alignment, it is your responsibility to protect it. Just as warriors sharpen their tools even in times of peace, the chosen one must continue to refine their mind, spirit, and habits in seasons of stillness. You must remain anchored when the world shifts. You must remain present even when distractions pull. You must remain intentional, knowing that your influence now extends beyond you. The frequency you emit impacts those around you, your family, your community, your spiritual circle. Whether they realize it or not, they are tuning into your energy. This is the quiet responsibility of the elevated soul. And so, chosen one, carry your elevation with reverence. Walk in rooms with quiet power. Let your actions speak. Let your peace disarm. Let your clarity guide. You don't need to convince anyone of your growth. You don't need to revisit places where your light was dimmed. You are beyond proving. You are in the phase of embodying. Those who are meant to align with you will find you, not because you chase them, but because your vibration draws them naturally. Opportunities will recognize your energy. Blessings will locate your presence. Your path will be lit not by force, but by frequency. Now, take a moment to reflect on all that has been revealed. Let it settle. Let it integrate. You have walked through a spiritual recalibration, and now you are being positioned for a season that looks nothing like your past. And it shouldn't, because you're no longer the same. This is your confirmation. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not invisible. You are chosen, elevated, and now ready to walk into the fullness of your divine assignment. Honor your journey, protect your peace, and most of all, trust your vibration. Because from this moment forward, everything that aligns with your calling is already on its way. Chosen one, if this message has awakened something in your spirit, if you felt seen, understood, and empowered. Don't let it end here. This is more than just a video. This is a spiritual moment, a confirmation that you are on the right path. Declare it now. Type, "I am aligned with my purpose," in the comments. Let the universe witness your commitment to walk in your divine identity with confidence and clarity. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss another message meant to support your growth, your awakening, and your spiritual protection. Here, you're not just watching content. You're entering a sanctuary built for the chosen ones, a space where your soul finds truth and direction. And if this message resonated deeply, consider sharing it with someone you know is on a similar journey. Chosen ones find strength in unity. Help another soul recognize their light. Remember, this is your time. Your vibration is your guide. Your discipline is your defense. And your purpose is waiting for no one. Walk boldly. Shine fully. Speak with spiritual authority. You are not alone. You are not misunderstood. You are chosen. And now, the world is about to see why.